for 2025, I'm starting a new series where, the videos are a little bit more laid back, a little bit more intriguing, and a little bit more relaxing. So, less things changing on the screen and just a bit of discussion, right? So let me know what you think of this new series of videos, as this is sort of the pilot. In the comments, it'll be kind of like car news, just because I feel like these discussions need to be had, and I think it'll be pretty interesting. Now, when you think of a Chinese car, you probably think of something like a Land Wing, right? That's what I think of. I think of Chinese knockoff cars. But recently, especially in YouTube culture, these new small knockoff cars are getting very popular and getting viral. And I think that that's very interesting and very neat. And I think that we should have these cars for the United States. Now, you probably think that I am the biggest stupid moron on the planet. Why would the United States need one of these? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, if you go on Alibaba and you look up Mini SUV, you are flooded with these. These tiny, little, mini, 4-door SUVs, if you can even call them that. And I really think that they work. I really think that the United States needs some sort of cars like this. So to understand why the United States would need some sort of car like this, let's look at what the United States has in terms of cars. Now, if you think of a small car, you probably think of something like a Toyota Corolla, which is huge. It's not a big car, especially compared to other cars that are sold in the United States, specifically the United States. In Europe, they also have a lot more smaller options. But a Corolla is even relatively big. Like, see the man standing next to it? It's a big car. If you got hit by that car, ouch, It's a big, powerful, nice car, right? Even when you think that it's small. And the only, small cars that we really have in the United States, aside from discontinued ones, is the Mitsubishi Mirage. I mean, it's so compact, not necessarily in terms of price, but in terms of size, that it's almost a one-car industry. It is so tiny, and yet it works, right? And a lot of people own them because they need cheaper transportation than they're normally getting. And I like the Mitsubishi Mirage, because the smaller that a car gets, this is just a small little nerd element, the more that a car company has to figure out ways to make it work. You know what I mean? That's why K cars were so great in Japan. They forced car makers to not only make small, cheap cars, which is what the people want. Everyone wants a small, cheap car. Because small cars, they're funner to drive than big cars. They require smaller engines to perform better. They may not fare well in crashes, but they're decent on gas mileage. And so it was a very smart thing that they did with the K car thing. But we don't really have that in the United States. But the constraint of size is something that I find interesting. Like the Mitsubishi Mirage. It has a lot of these chunky plastics that we're seeing nowadays, but overall a pretty, big trunk. Not bad. When you think of another small car, you might think of the Honda Fit, and even this is still a decently big car. When I think of this, I don't really think small car, just kind of small car in terms of America and the cars that we have here. So I really think that we could use and deal with smaller cars. The price of cars has been going up forever. I mean, seriously. And I really do feel like salaries, haven't been going up to match that, right? So people have less money to spend on cars than they did. Even if the car price stayed the same, people just aren't making, you know what I mean, in regards to other things. Rent, groceries, gas, it's all going up, and yet your salary, I feel, isn't going up enough to match that. I'm fortunate enough where I have a job that can cover my monthly costs and a decent amount more, but not everyone has that. So, this isn't some sort of political thing, it's just I think that smaller, cheaper, fuel-efficient cars would be good in the United States. Now, they don't have to be knockoff, but I think a lot of these are pretty decent. Imagine if you could go to some sort of smaller dealership. I brought this car specifically up because it seems like all of these cars have the same knockoff rims. Like, study the wheels. See, they're the exact same wheels. That's not something people notice all that much. But I think smaller cars like these could really be beneficial for the United States. Not because of this bull crap, shit cool interior, trying to knock off other cars bit, but just because it would be neat. And I'm not saying like the United States government has to step in or do anything. I'm just saying if a car company did attempt it, right, they really did attempt something like this, like a small, little, efficient car. A lot of these are EVs, and I think that that's really where EVs belong. Shoving EVs in regular cars makes the car have to go to an extreme. It has to have a really big battery and go really, really fast. Or it has to have a really small battery, not go very fast, and not have very long range. But in a smaller, compact car like this, it can just be kind of normal, right? A normal, smaller battery, but still a decent car to use. Now, I'm not saying that this layout is perfect, because there are a lot of cons to the layout of these cars. First of all, the knockoff element. Let's just pretend like these cars are completely original designs. Pretend, okay? Reason with me here. They tend to roll over a lot, from what I've heard, because the interior is just so tall as opposed to its wideness. Like, it's got the height of a normal car, because the smaller you make things, humans are still going to be the same size, which is why it's so tall. So rollover risk, obviously crash safety. It's very difficult to make a crash-safe small car. But I just think, these would be nice. Even in, to use in bicycle lanes. Okay, I know you're getting mad. But just hear me out. Wouldn't it be nice if instead of having to drop, a down payment and then a monthly payment and all this crap on a car and it being this huge, big, gigantic deal, you could just buy, by the time you import them, it means nothing. It's already $20,000. But wouldn't that be nice if you could just have a small little bebop car that you could just take to work, Now, they should be decently crash safe. I like to read the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's articles, and it's very interesting where modern cars are very crash safe, but, still not, they're very good. There's a very low chance that you'll ever die in a car accident by a modern car. But these smaller cars are really, really interesting in the way that they go about crash avoidance. An interesting car, this is another difference with the series. I'm not going to pre-lay everything out, I'm going to look at it. The Smart 42, which was a car that was sold in the United States since the late 1990s, was this small little plastic gub car. Now, unfortunately, they stopped selling them here in 2009. No, in 2019. But it was perfect. It had plastic body panels, which meant you could swap them out. And, while there may be downsides to this design, there's certainly upsides as well. They're, great on gas, they're fun to drive, and if you do get in an accident without another car involved, like you hit a wall or something, there's a lot less involved. They were also decently cheap to insure, from what I can tell, plus the bonus of them being, small, little, tiny, itty-bitty things that can fit wherever you need to put them. And I really did like them. I never really bought one because I didn't really have a use for it, but people obviously had a use for it. I mean, it was ran from the 1990s all the way up until 2019 in the United States, and it did well. And something that helped it do well was its design and structure. So the outside body panels are made of plastic. Aging Meals did a video on the Smart 42. If you want to learn more about it, it's a very good video. But the outside panels were made out of plastic that would kind of snap to the frame with these kind of hidden little snap pieces hidden away. And that was so that in case, you hit a bicycle or something small, and you dented it, you could easily replace it with the same color. That was the genius part of it. But then they had this. Now, on a car today, you would assume that that's some sort of cheap plastic thing that'll peel and all that crap. But it was actually, steel, actual real material. And that entire design here, I believe what they called it was it was the try-something cage. And it kept occupants safe in an accident. Now, they weren't always silver. The original ones were silver to show it off. Because, again, when you're buying a small car like this, your parents and maybe even you are worried about your safety if you're buying one of these. So, they made it silver to kind of show off how safe you'd be. I find the design of it pretty fascinating. It kind of expresses, this is the boundary point, right? Everything above this point is the crash zone, implying that this right here is the safe space, right? The occupant compartment. So if someone hits you from the back, if you can see it from the back. Kind of had this like band-like structure, and it's kind of like that front loop at the front was signifying, you know, if you got in a car accident, you'd be safe from that point on, and then if you got in a rear car accident, you'd be safe there. So it's an interesting design. But this design helped it to, you know, do decently well in crash tests of other cars against bigger sizes. And, you know, more power to it. Very nice car, very decent in car crashes. And if we adopted something like that, I really do think that these could work. Because something about the modern day car reeks of unfunctionality. I don't know what it is about cars, but modern day cars. But for some reason, they all seem so useless. You know what I mean? Now, bah humbug, I drive a hybrid. Some people argue that's one of the most complex, stupid cars in the world. Why would you buy a hybrid if you care about the usability of your car? But, you know, it does one thing. It gets great gas mileage. It's fine. Again, those knockoff wheels again. But I think that these are a great representation of what you can do if you want something that is purely for use, right? It's designed to get you to work, and that's it. I mean, there's not a lot of creature comforts minus the fake, crappy little microwave screens that they put in there. Is that an analog thing? I guess they put like a microwave screen there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a numpad off to the side and like there's like a little gauge, and to use the digital gauge cluster you have to type in your own speed. You know, they're built awfully. But if we had, you know, like a small American company, or just, you know, a new market segment of building these little things, maybe not this small. I would prefer 4-door. I think it would work. You know, buyers would maybe buy one alongside their car. Car insurance would probably be decently expensive because of course, the risk of a car accident or injury to the person. But, you know, compared to like a Rolls Royce or something, I'm sure the car insurance wouldn't be that bad. And I think it would just be neat to see a new section of cars where their entire, I love Porsche. There's something about me. I really do like the company Porsche. I like the engineering that they do. I appreciate it. Ferrari. So it's pretty interesting to see the knockoffs. I can see the tablet that they've stuck in there. It's classy. But, you know, I think if they were better quality and they weren't knockoffs, people would actually, you know, do decently well with these. And it'd also be a good way of introducing EVs to the public the way that I think they should be done. I mean, an EV in this category, this form of small little 4-door, you know, dung beetle-like thing, I think it really works. Now you notice some issues. The door is very short there. Seats are very back. But, I mean, look at that amount of legroom. That's another thing that angers me when I see a new car with bad legroom. Not a lot of people have seen this, I don't think. But I sat in the back of I think it was an E160. And it was a small Mercedes. Oh, no, that's definitely got to be the wrong one. Is it? No, this is the right one. This is the one that I sat in. Just 300. Okay. And the leg room is atrocious. I recognize that. My friend actually bought one of these and he's modifying it. You know, a lot of cars in Oregon, apparently. But a lot of people nowadays will complain about legroom and they don't understand how bad it used to be. This is a Mercedes. And look at the legroom. Is it bad? No. But this is likely with the seats all the way forward, judging by where the racks are there. When he was sitting in it and I sat in the back, my knees were touching the back of the seat. So I don't think that legroom is so much of an issue nowadays. I think legroom is decent. But the thing that angers me nowadays when I see a car with bad legroom is because you know it's all crap. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why that legroom is small, it's not because they couldn't get it any larger. It's because they have an obnoxiously large seat where your legs are like sticking out because it's not short enough for your legs to be able to comfortably rest, you know, digging into the back of your leg. And there's so many big bubbly plastics around the entire interior. Everything's set forward and set back to make the car look pretty and not be very functional. So that's just something that makes me it's a pet peeve of mine. Like when we look at the video here, look at all that leg space, all that room in that leg. All that room. I could comfortably sit there. Now I'm guessing the seat would have to go back a ways, but that'd be pretty similar to cars that I've sat in before. So, yeah, and then when we compare it to, like, a... This is another thing I can type nice and quietly. When we compare it to, like, a car today, I have to specify. When we compare it to a car today, look at that. That's so much legroom. Whoa, that's actually an awful amount of legroom. I'm mad at this car now. Because, like, come on, guys. We couldn't get a decent amount of legroom there. Now I'm getting angry. But you understand my point. I just think, you know, for the first argument, not argument, but discussion, for the first discussion, I think that these would go really well. Now we should look at, like, Honda, maybe? Ooh, we can just look at them. A car that I think should come to the United States, that I think would do well. No one's tested the water sewer aside from Smart Car, and it was decently successful, is the Honda Nbox from Japan. And it is this cute little car. Now, I know this is more what I would like these cars to be like, right? Neat, little, small, interesting cars that are decently safe. I'm just using these as a reference point because, you know, I have to connect with my viewer, you, in some way. And it seems like these, especially with Supercar Blondie making a video on it, are getting insanely popular. So that's why I connected it. This is really what I'd like to see. They're just great. I mean, you can see in the interior, you know, bring back the manual transmission. Do you want to know how much I would pay? I would pay $19,500 for a Honda Nbox 4-wheel drive manual. Do you know how much fun that would be? That would be an unthinkable amount of fun in that little thing, right? That's another thing that car companies don't really understand, which they understand. And I don't know why they're doing this because it's a lot more painstaking for them. But instead of going after fun, right? Because fun is really what it's all about. You can have something that's impressive. Like, remember Jeremy Clarkson's McLaren Mercedes, this car? He described it as a work of art, right? Like a car, one of his favorite cars. He drove it where he raced the guys on the plane, you know, a classic Top Gear episode. And he loved that car. He loved the way it looked, he loved the way it drove, and it was just so impressive. And it was exciting. And that's really what the car industry has strived to do ever since then, you know? Like the Teslas. We see a lot of these Teslas. They are specifically designed to push the limits, you know, EV, big torque, back in your seat, you know, all that fun stuff. And they're designed to do that. But it's not really fun. It's kind of exciting and I like to admire this sort of way, but it's not really exciting, you know? When it's something like this, manual, even if it was a manual, it doesn't have to be 4-wheel drive. 4-wheel drive is just fun. This is another thing of mine, I know. I dart a lot. I dart around a lot. A lot of people like to drift. They really do. They find drifting just to be so fun. I was in a car that was drifting once, and I hated it. I like all 4 of my wheels to be on the ground, and I like to know that they are touching the ground and transferring that force of the car onto the ground. Because if they're not, it's like we've all had that one experience where you've spun out in ice, and I did that in a 2008 Toyota Prius, driving home from Oregon to Florida in the middle of a snowstorm, and I was driving, I was like 60 miles per hour on the highway, and all of a sudden, my front tire hit. I think it was a really weird thing that this happened. I think there was like some snow, then my front tire hit the snow, then I tried to I was an idiot. I tried to move the steering wheel to correct it, and then I spun out. And ever since that moment, I have, you know, the horror. Everyone else was going slow. There was a bunch of honking, whatever. The car still drove after that. The car was fine. But ever since that moment, I have not been able to handle any of my car's wheels off the ground. So yeah, it doesn't even have to be 4-wheel drive. But the funness of cars is kind of gone. You know, it's exciting to drive, but is it really fun? I highly doubt, and I'm going to get a lot of crap for this. I highly doubt, a brand new Mercedes, some sort of fancy AMG Mercedes, would bring me the fun. I'm not talking about, the admiration or excitement, but the fun that a Honda Beat would provide. Look at it. It's so light. It's so insanely light. I mean, the headlights, they're styled to look like a normal Honda, and yet they're like an inch thick. Just neat. I would have so much fun with this car. And in that C-Class, I'd be like, not C-Class, AMG, whatever. I'd be like, it's fast, but I would have way more fun. Manual, one of these, oh yeah, so much fun. So yeah, the excitement is really kind of gone, and these provide a lot of excitement. Yeah, and that's another bonus. And another thing is the usability. This is, again, this should just be called, Quokka's pet peeves. But there's just so many useless cars nowadays. And it's so nice to see a car that you can camp in, you can take it anywhere you want to, with, maybe 2 inches ground clearance, as long as there's no snow or any dirt roads, and you should be fine. And that's refreshing to see from the cars in the United States that are expensive and useless. I mean, look at how much space that is. Granted, you won't have a lot of exterior space, but that's enough for a few luggages. Is that lug-eye? Lug-eye. That's enough for a few lug-eye, right? I mean, get a similar-sized American car. What's a similar-sized American car? I should use another Honda. The Honda Fit. You would not be able to fit as much luggage in the back of this thing with all 4 seats up than you would in this thing. Granted, the Honda Fit has 5, but the middle one doesn't really count. So, yeah, they're just great cars. They're amazing. Another car I like, this one doesn't really count, but it's just smaller. The Raz. It's foreign. It's so small, and it's so cute. This is like the remains of the Scion division, such a cute little car. Now it has a traditional hood, and it's more of a traditional car, but I think that's also really nice. I think we need more small cars in the United States. That's all I'm saying. So let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if you appreciate this more laid-back Quokka, right? I have a cup of tea. It's what is the word for it after it's just been brewed? No, yeah, tea. It is steeping, and I will drink it and watch something after this, and then edit this video. By edit, I mean put my little music and things in the front and back of the video. So yeah, let me know what you thought, and let me know what you think about this conversation in the comments. And if you'd like, opening this up to you, I think this could be, I'm not gonna be Joe Rogan or anything, but I could have you on if you want to talk about your ideas and opinions further, or just crap on me. So yeah, that'd be fun. But don't. I'm of course joking. I made that really weird. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Bye.